Welcome to Birdemic, a horrible, low-budget movie about killer birds that attack people. This movie's a tragedy, so let's just jump into it. So, we open to the wonders of traffic. Yes, traffic for 4 minutes. And then we meet Rod, a software salesman, and Natalie, a fashion model, at some random diner. Just listen to this audio clip. So after staring at Natalie like a creep and not ordering anything to eat, Rod follows Natalie out the door and starts to talk to her. Unenthusiastically, and somehow he still manages to get her phone number. So, our two main protagonists get some great news as Rod hauls in a huge sale. That's the money this production wishes it had. Natalie also gets the news that she's been hired to be a Victoria's Secret model. Victoria's Secret was once no part in this. Rod proceeds to call Natalie and ask to go out on a date with her. This man doesn't even tell her what time they're going to meet at in some Vietnamese restaurant, or better yet, how to even get there. So, after the all-important solar panel scene and the all-important basketball court scene, they meet at a Thai restaurant. Consistency much? They proceed to chat with each other, and Rod talks to her like he's unenthusiastically giving a slideshow.
So what's your plan? Family, kids?
Whoa, now this is getting serious.
This man doesn't even know how to flirt. Shut up. So, a whole bunch of nonsense happens that I'll just skip ahead to the next big plot shift. Rod's company has just been bought for $1 billion, and the board proceeds to clap in a confused manner for several minutes. So, Rod starts up a new company on his own and gets $10 million from funding in a week. You know, I'll indulge this movie on some things, but there is no way that monotonous bore of a man can convince anyone to give him $10 million. So he breaks the news to Natalie. They stroll on the beach with terrible audio, and then proceed to go out to some cheap motel, and a bunch of other stuff happens, and we'll just skip to the big reveal that happens 45 minutes into the whole movie. The CGI birds attack, and they dive bomb into buildings with airplane noises. Rod and Natalie leave the motel and meet a couple named Ramsey and Becky who own a van. The four fight off the vicious birds. JPEG birds. Such horror. Then they drive for an extended time and rescue a pair of kids. These kids are slightly irritating, but they aren't the worst thing. The crew stop at a park and meet a scientist. The scientist rants about global warming. He's not important. And then they get back in their van and Rod and Ramsey discuss Iraq. What does Iraq have to do with birds? Unfortunately, Becky dies in the most hilarious way possible, and Natalie runs back to the van. Then Rod gets out, runs around, and proceeds to get back in the van, and then they drive off. They stop at a double-decker bus that the birds are attacking, and Ramsey vows vengeance for Becky, and proceeds to get slaughtered, and causes the deaths of 3 other people. The characters of this movie are dumb. Rod drives to a gas station that charges $100 per gallon. That's a bit pricey, bud. And the kids buy snacks. Relevance! And then they drive off and get stopped by the best character in the movie. Why? Because he's got a nice hat. He proceeds to hold them at gunpoint and force them to sell him gas. He gets killed. And they drive off. Without the gas tank. They meet a guy in a forest who talks about beetles, and he runs away because he hears a mountain lion. Also, look at this man's hair. What is that? Unfortunately, they run out of gas and the birds attack. And then they just fly away. Guys, come back. You've got a job to finish. And then the dreaded trash fest of a movie finally ends. This movie sucks. The characters are bad, the acting is bad, the story's bad, they cut away to things that don't have any meaning, and the effects are atrocious. If you want something good from this movie, then I suggest you check out the Corridor Crew's video on Birdemic, where they revamp one of the scenes. It's at least better than anything in this hour-and-a-half movie.